Tom Wiers.
Yes, sir.
Why do you believe Kaitlyn Conley? Well, first of all, I'm saying, and I'm putting words in your mouth. So tell me.
I don't like your new website, because now you got these cameras on the angles.
That's a
my
good
friends
point.
say I have more of a radio face.
Okay, all right.
So,
they do have cameras on you right now.
It's kind of scary now.
Do you? I said earlier, you believe Kaitlyn Conley. You're an investigator, private investigator. You work on several trials, several cases, and all sorts of things. You're former law enforcement.
Yes.
You not only do you believe she's not guilty, you believe she's innocent.
That's correct.
Why?
Well, when I first got hired by Chris Pelly, first of all, I want to commend Frank Policelli for getting a not guilty verdict on the murder count.
On the murder, yeah. I guess we're not focusing on that.
Which Chris wanted in the first trial, but had a hung jury with that.
Yeah.
But when Chris Pelly first called me on the case, and it was probably a week or so after he was arrested, she was arrested. I love working for Chris Pelly because he, I'm trying to think now. I like working for him. There's only a handful of lawyers I like working for, and he's one of them. And the reason I like working for him is he likes me to go out and find whether it's good or bad for the client.
Find it out.
So, yeah. So,
get the truth.
So no matter what,
what
comes back, he'll accept what if it's bad, he'll accept it and make
and work with that. At least he knows. I would rather want to know the truth.
Right.
No matter what situation you're in, don't you want to know the facts? Because then you can deal with the facts. But when it's the unknown that you get screwed up on.
So basically, he gives me the discovery paperwork documents that the police and prosecution has, and it was like 2 boxes. And, they call them lead files, and they're manila folders, and it's very tedious work to review it. And so, for example, they'll have lead file number 2, and it'll be just like one piece of paper, and it'll say, took a picture of a house, on such and such a date. Then the next file will be lead 3, and it'll be like all the phone records of somebody.
Yeah.
So I read everything, every case, a murder case, or any case, I read every document that's in there. So there's quite a few, documents, and they also gave me some thumb drive stuff, with interviews and stuff like that.
And these are all pieces of evidence that they believe lead to Kaitlyn Conley's guilt.
But I read everything.
Guilt.
And there was one murder case where I found a blotter entry, or it was a 911 dispatch call. It was 1 page, and it turned out that the guy was with the victim hours before the time of death, and it resulted in acquittal and a homicide on a client because, they claimed he was there.
Did you think you found anything when you were investigating? Did you find anything that maybe didn't make it in the trial that you really feel would have been that smoking gun that would have cleared her?
Well, what I can say is when I read all the documents, I met back with Chris Pelly and, basically said to him, they have a circumstantial case, and there doesn't appear any motive, and any of the circumstantial evidence that you had can be disputed. And there was no direct evidence who poisoned, no matter if it was Kaitlyn or whoever.
Right.
So
there's really no direct evidence, period.
If you think about it, whoever they would have charged would have still been circumstantial for anyone who was charged, unless somebody confessed.
Do you feel they could have charged let's call them the 3, Kaitlyn Conley, Adam Yoder, or Bill Yoder? Could they have charged Adam Yoder or Bill Yoder and ended up with the same type of result, and with a decent case?
Well, yes, but it would be circumstantial unless you have a confession, or you have like a video that's you see where the person pouring the poison and whatever.
She got caught though sending a letter. It's believed that maybe she planted the colchicine inside Adam Yoder's car. This created a cloud of doubt. The DA will tell us, and has told us, all of, and Manansky and Andrew, you tell me if I'm getting this wrong, but it is unequivocally, everything points to Kaitlyn Conley. That's what the DA says.
Well, of course, they charged her, and
Yeah.
they're going to have to say that, right? So, but my feeling was, I told Chris, I'm going to go out, and there was three things I was going to look at was, whether there was any substance to show a motive for Kaitlyn, which I could not find.
Couldn't find.
And two was to find somebody to corroborate. Technically, you had Adam confessing to Kaitlyn in that letter, right? And so that's somewhat a confession, but it didn't work well for Kaitlyn. And so my goal with that was also to try to corroborate, find somebody that maybe heard the same thing, right?
Right.
And then the third one was I found issues with Bill's statement and testimony in grand jury about when he was starting to see the sister, Kathy Richmond.
And the bell goes off, the motive bell goes off, because there's only really, of all of this, there's one logical motive, and that would be one of the oldest motives in the
Chris
world.
Belly always
Something
said to me
involving
about the
romance.
first trial is he felt that my finding of that Patricia Keating and that testified that saw them
Together
Bill
before
and
he-
week or so before the
So let's reiterate that. You found the witness who said,
I
saw
found the
them-
money. You ever heard the expression? Show me the money.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So
You followed the money trail.
No. So what happened was, this is based on. I find this information based on what the police subpoena, right? So when they interviewed Bill, he tells them that he starts seeing and being with Kathy in October of 2015.
After the murder.
Right. So through financial records, I find that he's down in Casanova, where Kathy lives, starting in August. And he's down there and he's buying things like 3 days in a row. He's here, he's at the, Tops, he's at Rite Aid. So then there's 3-day break. Then he's back down there buying, he's at the diner here and he's at the restaurant. And so you could tell a pattern. What's amazing is how you can look at financial records like a debit card and see where you are, where you're going.
Yeah.
And today's technology is just incredible.
So Bill Yoder was given immunity. And do you believe he then...
But what I want to tell you is I went down to Casanova. My goal was to go all these businesses and see if there was video. And, my problem is you're working on a case that's a year and a half later. So, people don't retain video for that time. And then I canvassed the neighborhood. And then, I did have 4 witnesses that saw Bill with Kathy prior to Mary's death.
You had
But
4 witnesses
Yes.
that saw the 2 of them. This is the sister of the deceased and the
One I
husband.
got a notarized statement from.
The others didn't want to cooperate?
Well, what happened was once they were subpoenaed, and they did come to the trial, and they, one couldn't remember, and one recanted their story, and one also couldn't remember. So
You feel somebody got to them?
well, there's theories out there that I have, but I'm used to that though.
Okay.
I'm not used to having so many witnesses who report the same thing to you that change.
So you
what I'm
had
saying?
4 people
So-
saying the same thing, and mysteriously, when it came to actually going to trial, 3 of them said, well, I'm not sure that I remember.
That's
After all.
right.
So the one that
So your belief is that somebody got to them?
Well, I don't know.
Okay, right.
That's a good theory. Based on my experience, I had a homicide case where I went to a different direction than the police did. And I was eyeing this guy that I thought maybe he had committed the murder. And I found the guy's mother's ex-boyfriend. And he felt that this kid killed this guy. So he even got him sitting down saying to him, I know you did it. Tell me where the body is. I know you did this.
Yeah.
And he also gave me additional names to go out and where this kid was confessing to. You
Right,
know, and I
right.
find that. But then when we subpoenaed him, total memory loss.
Completely.
And then I even taped his interview, and he, you know, we played the tape for him, and he goes, I don't recall saying that. And, but how do you get a guy on the stand now that's not going to tell you, not going to say that, even though you got him taped?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah. Do you feel? Because Bill Yoder has been given immunity. So your belief is, based on testimony, people that you interviewed, your belief is the relation that he lied on the stand when he said the relationship started after the death of Mary Yoder.
That came out in testimony.
Right.
So
Would that be enough because the immunity stands unless there's perjury?
Well, the testimony of Patricia Keening is direct evidence to a motive. It's not really direct evidence to the crime itself, right?
Right.
So
Right.
it would be up to the jury, right, to say, wow, you know, maybe.
Manaski.
Can I ask you some of the evidence, the digital evidence about how it was ordered, when it was ordered, who had access to the computers, the searching on the cell phone? I know that's not 100%, but
My answer
boy, it
to
seemed
you-
to indicate.
Well, my answer to that would be, I'm not savvy in computers, and I don't brag to be. So what I told Chris Pelly was, there's this computer expert that I had worked with before, and I told him his name is Jerry Grant, and I said you need to have him look at all that stuff, and I didn't even bother with reviewing that stuff, and
Okay.
but I was communication with Chris Pelly between that, you know, with the guy and Chris, and Chris tell me what he was searching or was looking for and stuff. But my feeling with that is technology is the penal law and the CPL, the criminal procedure law, is not catching up with today's technology.
Sure.
Now, I'll give you a good example. Is I had a case in Syracuse where there's two people working in an office, and the coworker goes to the person, "Can I? I'll download this app for you because I heard you're interested in this subject on this app." So she takes the phone and downloads the app, but then she opens up his photos, and she finds activity of crimes. So of course it's wrong that he had that on the phone, but was it wrong for her? Is there a crime that, you know, when I give you my phone,
Yeah.
let's say you want to search and say, hey, let me Google, or I want to go on YouTube, or let me Google something
all
on
of a
your
sudden
phone.
you're going through photos.
Do you expect that person to go further? And
Yeah.
you know, so but now is it, once you give the phone, is it a free fall for somebody to do that or not?
So, but can I just follow up one point on that? The idea that she was somehow framed, I've always found interesting because it did not seem that anybody was pointing the finger at her.
I want to get to that because that's worth getting to. We're talking to Tom Wiers. Tom is with TW Private Investigations out of Mohawk, former law enforcement, and work on a lot of these trials, and was certainly very much involved in especially the first trial of Kaitlyn Conley. So back to Manaski's question. It is kind of a leap to be able to say that somebody was trying to set her up, because if they were, did they do it didn't seem like anybody was trying to set her up.
Well, my
Or were they, and it's just that brilliant?
I'll be honest with you, when I did the investigation, I wasn't looking into somebody framing somebody. I felt my focus of this my investigation led to the bill with the finance, you know, looking at the financial reports and
So we've heard there were financial issues with the Yoders. There was a book deal that went bad, according to the family. There was the potential of the relationship that actually existed. So, do you believe there's far more pointing towards Bill Yoder than
I say
Kaitlyn
there's
Conley?
more of a motive.
Right.
You could, and
Certainly
you
the
saw that,
classic motive.
and
that
you
would
saw
be-
that in the first trial.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know, and that led me to the direction to go to Casanova and, you know, look that direction. And so
I want to ask, trial one, of course, ended in a mistrial, and Chris Pelley was the attorney. Frank Policelli was the second attorney.
Mm-hmm.
How do you assess Frank's? Do you want to get down that road?
Well, they're both good attorneys. They both have different personalities.
Did that play a role?
What's that?
Did that play a role?
It could.
Yeah.
I wasn't there, just to watch or, at both trials. I didn't sit in the courtroom.
Right.
But, I always, sometimes when I work on these cases, I find things for an attorney that's I think it's the sculpatory evidence that will, at times I always think, wow, this might even...
This is the smoking gun.
Well, create an acquittal or something. And then there's a conviction. And to me, sometimes it's based on who's the better salesman at the trial,
Right.
like the prosecutor or the defense attorney.
Well, in this case, do you feel then that the prosecution must have been the better salesperson?
Well, like I said, I wasn't there to see it.
Right.
But
let me ask you this: juries, boy, the unknown, right? A jury is. You think you have presented the perfect case, but based on everything that you know.
And I would have to say, not only jurors, based on my experience, but appellate court judges. I always felt that they're unpredictable.
Oh, there's no doubt about it.
And what their decisions are. And a good example, if you read in the National Registry of Exonerations on the Skippy Wilson case, the one I worked on, and you read what that lawyer presented in appellate court, I couldn't believe that they denied the appeal.
The chances of getting a positive outcome in the appellate court, just the bare odds, based on statistics, not really good. The percentages aren't good.
But I've had clients or whoever ask me, what do you think the jury's going to do? And I tell them I don't know.
Do you feel, though, based on your knowledge, that there was enough, and this is knowledge of investigation, there was enough doubt that you could not convict? Do you believe that?
I would say it was obvious.
Reasonable doubt.
I would say it was obvious with the first trial, and then also with the second. But what changed was the offering of the manslaughter.
Right.
And because let's face it, they did a not guilty on the murder.
Yeah.
And
Here's John. I want to quickly get this in. We have 3 minutes. John in Sequoia with a question for you, Tom.
Just have a quick question, guys. I think that Frank Policelli made a huge mistake by not putting Kaitlyn on the stand again. If she's innocent, and he believes she's innocent, and she believes she's innocent, then his response is, it doesn't hurt. I mean, what is it going to gain?
We asked we asked
the
him.
ability to do that. Yeah, I think he made a huge error in judgment.
All right, John, thanks. I will tell you, we did ask Frank that question, and his answer was you would never put her on the trial. There was no good that could come out of that, only bad. You're not an attorney, but do you want to comment on that?
Well, that's never up to me ever on any cases I work on, and I would never tell a lawyer like Chris Pelley, Frank, say, hey, you need to put her on, him or her on the stand.
And that's your job is to get information.
Yeah, my job is always, and like I said, there's times where I go home and when I work on a case and I say, I don't think this person did it. Then there's times where I say, I think maybe.
You believe not only not guilty, but the wrong person person is in jail.
Well, let's face it, it's happened before. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've overturned 3 convictions based on finding new evidence. Released 3 people out of state prison.
Yeah.
One was in for 9 years, one was in for 4, and the other one was 3 years. So, that evidence was out there.
And this is such a circumstantial case.
Yeah.
Why is the prosecution so sure, the DA so sure that she's guilty? Because he has said to us vehemently, there's no doubt that she is guilty.
Well, that you would have to ask them.
Yeah.
And there's nothing I can speculate what they're thinking on that part.
All right. Quickly, they're going to appeal.
Yes.
Your thoughts on the appeal?
It's like a jury.
It's like everything else, right? That appellate court, Well,
I've been told that because it's circumstantial, that there's a great possibility of an overturned conviction. But
Yeah.
how do you predict that? So,
I don't think we can. Tom Wiers. By the way, if you wanted to reach out to Tom, can I give your phone number?
Yes.
866-8039. It's TW Private Investigations. You're very good at what you do.
oh, thank you.
Thanks, Tom.